a poem with a title, but I did write it for an event called Where Are the Women? And this is the response that the title of the event provoked for me. Dear Father, this is the only and the last letter I write to you. And although you will never read it, and if you do read it, most certainly will never understand it, I will send it out to you in the form of a poem, told with an eternal optimism, told with a perverse will to survive, told to attentive ears who will heed my words, and perhaps it will ring a deep bell inside of them, humming with my words and their words and your words, Father. Words you may have said with the intention to cut, but which have molded me. For I am different from when you last knew me, Father. For you have birthed me twice. I have learned to stop tiptoeing apologetically in the spaces inhabited by people. I have learned to keep my heart still and full and my 2 feet tapping to a beat only I hear. I have learned to smile my best smile at eyes that look toward me and those that do not. I have learned how to choose my fights and my friends and to create circles of love with the tips of my brown toes, circles expanding into serenity, into friendship, into love. You may remember those images of you I used to bring home to you, and later the ones you must have caught glimpses of in the city, those who I brought home to me. You still direct those images, Father. I still bring home images based on you. Only this time they are not you, and the city is still my home, Father. Any city that will hear the drumbeat of my feet on its cobblestones will become home, because I have learned to be comfortable with uncertainty, Father. I have learned to live with joy at the threshold. And if I don't come back, Father, remember this. The second time you birthed me was just like the first. You weren't there. Only what you did in the interim led to this woman, Father, this woman who no longer clutches at objects of affection or the idea of a mother's martyrdom. I have learned to love the woman who was your wife without being reminded of her alabaster back turning black and blue under your belt, or that she was the mother who didn't protect her child. I have learned to know her as a woman knows another, in the rare event that the world lets them be friends when they have been deeply hurt by the same man. I have learned how to learn from her grace and to match it with mine. I have learned not to hold on to the things that you so prize, Father, but to choose my clothes and my labels with a spontaneous joy that erupts with its own irony every time I scatter one of my terribly arty earrings somewhere out into the world. And really, Father, while I might not be entirely sure who I am, these books that I read every day, these books I devour like you must remember me devouring your love as a little girl, these books that are constants and best friends ensure that no part of me remains your black double, that I remain kinder than you can imagine, that I shower love like you never heaped hate upon the world. And if I must pay for your sins, Father, then I will pay in incense and a godless prayer. And if I birth a child, I will birth her only once. And when she asks me where her grandfather is, I will love her first birth enough to just reply, baby, he went his own way. And before I say goodbye, Father, I would like to say a final thing. My world has expanded, Father. You pushed me to run and I ran away, but eventually I fell in love with movement for the sake of it. And now my footsteps echo in the walls of my memory, muffling out the terrible cries of a little girl, Papa, Papa, no! Or the unanswered question, Father, why have you forsaken me? Thank you.